A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our program Learn Arabic. We discussed in the last episodes how can we pronounce a lot of Arabic alphabets. And I think that today we're also going to discuss more about how can we pronounce and write Arabic alphabet Dal. And as everyone knows, that Dal is very similar to the sound in English Da. I think we can discuss and learn more about how can we write that and how can we pronounce it. Well, I have to present all my guests today. I'm joined today with, as usual, with Khalid from Ghana, Muhammad from England, Amr from Egypt, and Nabil from Pakistan. Welcome to my episode. So we discussed before how can we pronounce Dal. Did you find any difficulty in pronouncing this letter?
I think that the difficulty in Dal and Dal is very close. Sometimes when you're reciting fluently,
exactly.
Maybe you're reciting slowly. Sometimes you say done or done is very close. I mean, even now I can't even say which one is Dal, then we say Dal. Done. I don't know which one is different. So.
Well, again, I think that we discussed stuff like that before, but I think that Nabil has a comment here. Yes, Nabil, do you have any comments? About Dal, yeah. Do you find any difficulty in producing that or in pronouncing it? Well, by the way, I would say here a very important point, because Muhammad, now you are raising a very interesting question, which is the differences between Dal and Dad, or probably how can we see a kind of difference? As I said before, that is, Da probably could be very difficult sound, like Ha, which is classified as an emphatic sound. And when it comes to Dal, I think that we have another different story, because that's probably could be similar to Da, in Dad in English. Yes, Khalid, you have a comment.
I think Da is a little lighter and Da is more heavier.
Exactly. That's another feature that can be found probably in Dal, which is very light and it's very easy. And even when it comes to the side of writing, yes, Khalid.
I mean, how do you pronounce Dal?
Well,
as done and Dad as done.
Right. Well,
light and heavy, as you call it say.
You see that, Muhammad, again, I would tell you that is when it comes to the features of pronouncing Dal, it could be the same for Da, but in Da actually, which is something that we're going to discuss later in the upcoming episodes, we're going to have a lot of features that probably distinguish this sound to be an emphatic sound, probably could be different from the sound Dal in Arabic. So, but again, when it comes even in the writing style, I think that we can find a lot of differences between Dal and the previous letters. Definitely. As we remember, that is, in the previous letters actually, we were discussing that is, most Arabic alphabets are connected together. But when it comes to Dal, I think it should be disconnected, especially when it comes to the initial position. Let me just have a look at this. How can we write such an alphabet? I think that we discussed something like that. We write this letter by beginning above the line and slant line. It looks like when we draw an angle, but less than 90 degrees. Can you see that? Here is it. We make a kind of slanted lines, and then we are making a straight line. Can you see that? Yeah. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Do you have any question about that? Do you have any comment about such a letter? I think that would be very interesting, actually, to have something like that when it comes to the style of writing. Can you see this again? Here is it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I think as in last show, someone raised a question that the different styles, steep style of Dal,
right?
Or maybe the more curved style of Dal.
Exactly, but it's not like curved, as Osama said before in the last episodes when we draw something like a curved line. It's not in this way, but we have to make a kind of slanted line first and then a straight line, and in such a way, actually, it would be perfect, right? So let me just Khalid.
But in the combination of the letters, at the time we combine the letters.
Yep.
Like that, Dal.
Yep.
And Lam.
Yep.
Or we can say Dal and Ba.
Okay, let me just have a look at this.
And Alif.
So we discussed before how can we write Ba here in this way. We make a very small hook, straight line and another hook, and we put dot. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is about Ba.
Yeah.
Now,
Can we combine this?
Yep. Well, let's try. So we're going to now combine Dal and Ba. In this way, for example, Da and then Ba. No. It would be impossible, actually, to combine Dal and Ba, especially when Dal comes in the...
Thing you can combine from the previous position.
Exactly. But let me just make it in a reverse position. So let me just repeat that again. Here is it. But it works here.
Yeah.
Can you
It
see
means
that?
that we cannot There is no combination.
Exactly.
In the initial position.
Right, right. So when it comes to initial position, it's always disconnected. We don't have any combination between dal initial position with the following letters. Okay, so this is about when it comes to the initial position. Let me just move on here to the medial position. Can you see that? So sometimes when it comes to initial position, initial position always disconnected. But in medial position, we have two cases. The first one, which is connected, and the second one, which is disconnected. Here is that. When it comes here in the connected form, like jadid or gadid, can you pronounce it? Gadid.
Gadid.
So I want to hear all your voice, please.
Gadid.
Right, exactly. So sometimes you can say ja, sometimes you can say ga, and it depends again on where are you from, but it will be the same sound. So here in gadid, what we have here is that. In this way, I would say you can find ga and then da. Can you see that? Well, of course, we have to make a kind of hook, small hook here. And then da, and then we have ya, and we have another da here.
Yeah.
We put two dots here. I have a comment here. We are combining dal with the previous letter. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can I combine dal here with the following one? No.
No, you can't.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So that is actually very remarkable in
I think
that.
this probably singled out the function of dal, or maybe
Exactly,
properties of dal. You know?
Right.
It cannot be connected forward. It's just always coming from the back to
So
forward.
the previous letter, right.
It's probably
So-
like Arabic language from right to left.
Exactly right. Here we go. So when you write that dal here, I'm sorry, here is it. Oh, here is that. Can you see that?
Yes.
Is that kind of line? So it should be connected actually with the previous, with the following one, but not with the previous one. Can you see that? So I'd like to repeat this sound again. I would like to say da.
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 Right. I'd like to hear your voice, please. So say da.
Da.
Here is that. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is when it comes in the medial position. But how about when it comes in the final position? Well, in the medial position, as I said before, that we have two cases. The first one, which is connected, and the second one, which is disconnected. Well, first of all, I probably might ask you just to write the word gadid on your scratch paper. Can you do that, please?
Yeah.
Yep, I write it once again here, gadid. Can you follow me on writing it? Here is it. Ga. Yep. Well, my focus on here, there, and ga.
Yeah.
Yep, please.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome. Okay. Well, so this is probably the first case when that comes in the medial position. Well, the second case comes sometimes disconnected, like warda, which means flower. So I would like to say the word again. Warda.
Warda.
Yep.
Is it warda or warda?
Warda. Well, actually, the final letter here is ta, which is called ta marbuta.
Yeah.
Well, we can discuss more about that in the following episodes, but my focus more on
No, my focus on the pronunciation is warda or warda.
da.
Da.
Right, exactly. So what we say here is that it's very distinctive here, actually, to write this word.
Isn't it similar to English da?
Exactly, Muhammad. Here is that. Can you see that?
Yeah, no. I mean,
And I think, here is it.
I think the key is all separated.
Yep, and I still remember my guest Osama's comment in the last episode when we were talking about how can we find a connection or separation between letters. Is there any kind of specific distance between the letters? I think that this word could be very interesting because all the letters in this word are disconnected, which is something probably may not be found a lot in Arabic language. Because the common rule in Arabic is to find all the letters are combined together. Okay, so I would write it again. Please follow me in writing it. Okay? Yep. So here is it. Okay.
Well, isn't the ra and dal kind of similar?
Well,
Right.
very interesting. Right. Well, both actually, ra and dal.
I've seen you writing. It's
I'm sorry. Well, I know that could be very confusing for some people, but let me just have a look at this here. This is where. This is ra, slanted line. This is there. This is dal.
I think it's probably more clear now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
So in Ra, which is something that we can discuss later, we can just find one shape for the letter, slanted line. Can you see that?
I've seen people put a little hook, then slant it.
Exactly. But when it comes, for example, to Da, we have slanted line and then we have straight line. Can you see that? Let me just say it again. Here is it. Okay, here is it. That's for Da.
So
that is for Ra.
What does something like this?
Okay, excellent. Excellent. That sounds great. Now, I would like just to write Dal and Ra, and please write that following me. Okay?
Okay.
Here is it. Okay. Here is it.
Is it Dal and Ra separate?
Yep. Excellent. Great. Okay, Amr. Did you write anything here? Well, that's okay. Don't worry about that. So, this is about Dal when it comes in the medial position. But how about when it comes in the final position? Here is it. Let me just move on here to the slide that we will have here today, which is when it comes in the final position. I think that, yep, here is it. Final position connected. Something that's probably could be different from when it comes in the initial position. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay. Like, for example, Jad, which means grandfather. Yeah. Right. Can you pronounce it? Jad.
Jad.
Right. Okay. I would like just to write, because we discussed before, Ja. And now we're going to write Dal combined with Ja. Here is that. We just have in this word two letters. Here is it. Can you write it, please?
Jad.
Yep.
Is it Jad or Jad?
Jad.
Jad.
Yep. Can you write it? Khalid, do you have a pen? You don't have a pen. Okay. So anyway, so when it comes here in the final position, always connected. I would write it again. Please follow me in writing it, and please write following me.
Okay.
Okay? So here is that. Okay. Do you have any comment here?
Yeah.
Yep.
Jad.
Yep.
At the time we pronounce Jim.
Yep.
And we pronounce Dal.
Yep.
There is some difference in pronunciation.
Exactly. Right.
Jim is from Velar.
Yep.
And Dal is dental. But
exactly.
we feel sometimes problem.
I think, yep, that's right. I think we can discuss more about that in the second part of our episode. My dear viewers, I think we can discuss more about how can you write Dal in the second part. Stay tuned.
Reviewing the second rule of al-mim as-sakinah. That is the letter mim. So if the first mim is non-vowel or sakina, followed by a voweled mim. So I will merge the first in the letter and I will pronounce them as one. وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ. And we spoke abundantly on the virtues of seeking refuge with Allah from the outcast Satan. Especially for the first reciter, he's got to recite it out loud.
وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
فإذا جاءت الصاخة
وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ زُوِّجَتْ.
Make sure it's Dhamma. وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ. Thank you for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the second part of our program, Learning Arabic. We were discussing in the previous part how can we pronounce and write Dal in different forms, actually, in different positions inside the word. Now we can find here in the slide that is 4 shapes for pronouncing, for writing this letter. Here it is. When it comes in the initial position, can you see that once again? So I'm going to now write every word, and please follow me in writing it. Okay? So let me start here with the first position, which is an initial position. Here is it. Again, it comes here in a slanted lines, and then we have a straight line. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I would write just one word, and please write it following me. Here is that. Dollar or dollar. Can you see that? Here we go. Here we go. Right. Exactly. So my focus on here. Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. Did you write it? Okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Mohammed. Yep. Sounds great. Okay. So here is my point. When it comes in initial position, always disconnected. You have to remember something like that. Yep.
So initial position dal is disconnected. In middle position, maybe in some words it could be disconnected or could be connected.
Let me just give you an example here. Here is it. We have gadid and we have warda. Let me just write gadid. Here is that. Jam, starting with a small hook, slanted line, straight line, and then we are writing here down. Very interesting point here that I have to explain, that when that comes in the medial position, we don't start from top to down here. We don't write that in this way. In the initial position, we write that in this form. Can you see that?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the medial position, like gadid, again, here is it.
You start from center.
Exactly. We start from the top and then going back again. Can you see that?
So from center we take it up, then slightly bring it to 90 degrees.
Exactly.
Close
We start from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
Can you see
By
that?
the way, can we put or can we write the arrow of jim
Yep.
at the last?
Yes.
We can put it.
Yes, we can do
like
that.
this.
Okay. Well, here is it. Excellent. Well, that sounds perfect, right? So here is it. Let me just continue writing this word again. Here is it. I would write that here in this way. Here is that. Can you see that?
Mm.
And then we write here.
So, I mean,
Yep.
it's just a funny question.
Yep.
What's the size of dal you should put? Like, is it gonna be because it's really small. It could be difficult for someone with a weak eyesight to read.
Well, here it's very interesting because it depends on the style and the size of the paper. You can probably write, for example, very big letters in the big papers, and you can also write big dots when it comes, for example, to jab. We don't have any kind of standard rule here for writing. I mean, sometimes you can write that in this way. Can you see that? Yep. Here is it. 2 dots for yam.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
And one for jim.
Again, so we don't have any standard rule here. But please, don't make a long distance between jam and dam.
Probably.
I mean, don't write that in this way, for example, Mohammed. Can you see that? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah. Probably.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, actually, to write.
Is there a special notebook for this
Well,
letter?
generally speaking, Nabil, what we are making here is that we can find a kind of very short distance between the first letter
It's
and
probably about a letter, or maybe maximum to 2.
Exactly. It could be just the space of one letter. So here is that again. Can you see that?
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like to see that. Did you write it?
Yeah, I've done
Please,
I've
show
read
me
it.
that.
I've read it twice.
I like your writings, by the way. Yep, here we go. Yep. Okay, well, that sounds great. There's no, yep, here is it. Okay. Now, this is when it comes in the final position. So I think that gadid, the word gadid probably could be a clear example for da when it comes in the middle position and also in the final position because we have 2 das here.
Yeah.
Okay. Another example here is warda. Let me just write it once again. This is another example for da when it comes in the medial position. And here is it. Can you see that? Wa, ra,
The,
da. Can you see that?
yeah.
And ta.
Is it called ta actually?
Well, it's called tap.
Okay.
Yep, it's called tap. Probably lots of people today pronounce it as ha. But if you combine the sound with the following one, then you pronounce it wardatun jamila. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Warda-
Yep, you have a comment.
Yeah. It's mean that the dal is only have one touch
Exactly.
with the other words.
Exactly.
If we want it like that, we have learned jadid.
Jadid, right.
We cannot take dal with ya.
Exactly
put-
right. And I'm going to tell you here something could be very important. When that comes in any word, inside the word, in the middle position,
Yeah.
don't connect that with the following letter.
Okay, thank you.
Just connect that with the previous one. Can you see that?
I mean, this could be a valid point when you start learning how to write Arabic.
Exactly.
Do not connect dal with anything else.
Exactly, that's right. And that's a very important point for that when it comes in the medial position. Generally, when we start writing down, we start from the top to down.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. Here is that. In this way. But when it comes in the medial position, what we are making is we're starting here from the bottom to the top.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe it's,
Two important elements.
it's more of center to top than bottom to top.
But again, this is Muhammad. This is probably that standard rule that should be applied for writing down when it comes in the medial position. Now let's move on here to the final position, which is Jed, grandfather. Yeah. Okay, so I would like to write that here in this way, and please follow me in writing it. I would like to see all your writings, please. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Here is that. Jam with a small hook. We're making dam. And then we are making another with another da here. Okay, here is it.
Is it Jadid or Jad?
I'm sorry, this is Jadid. Okay, let me just now read Jad. It's very easy, just the first part of Jadid.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you write it?
Good. Yeah.
Please, show me that. What did you write so far? Amr. Okay, that's okay. Excellent, I like that. I like the style of writing for both Nabil and Muhammad, and also Khalid. Okay, so this is when it comes in the final position. Okay. So do you have any question about that? Any comment? Please shoot me.
I think we have understand this, that dal has in initial position, it has to be without any connection.
Yep.
In medial position, maybe you can have connected, or maybe in such as Varada, there's no connection, it's separate, and in last position, it always being separate.
Exactly, right. And very important point here again, it's connected with the previous letter, but we don't connect dal when it comes in the medial position with the following one, just with the previous one. And we write dal in the medial position from the bottom side to the top side.
I think that's probably summarized the dal, what is dal actually is.
Exactly,
How
right.
should we write it?
Yep, I think also that Nabil has a comment. Okay, go ahead, Nabil.
But the dal is very interesting word.
I guess that's dal probably could be easier in writing and in also pronunciation. I think that do you have something like that in Urdu?
Yeah, we have similar to dal. I think we have dal and one more word is called dal, which has little dwa on it.
Okay.
Which is called dal. We have dal, and zal.
I see. So, Amr, do you have any comment about dal?
Dal, when it will be in the middle of the word, it can be connected by the following letter.
Exactly, right. I think that this is what we discussed. But do you have any comment about writing dal? Well, I think that would be very great, actually, if we just learn how can we write the letter dal in different forms and in different positions. And I think that this is probably could be very important, especially when it comes to comparing dal with D in English. And of course, that in English we don't have D.
I think dal come in a lot of words like dentist, doctor. You start with dal slightly. Dal or drinks.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I think this is, I'm going to tell you something. I was sometimes confused when I was learning English just from the very beginning about dal as a capitalized letter. Da in English, and da also when it comes in a small form, not in the capitalized form. But as we discussed that before, that we don't have the same here in Arabic. I mean, in Arabic we don't have the small letters and the capitalized letters, something like that, which Sam, I think that in the last episodes also did discuss about lowercase and uppercase, something like that. So, any comment about dal before moving on to the following letter?
Dal is very easy, but if we pronounce dal with jim, or ha, like that, the words are from Vila, and dal is from dental.
Yep.
At the pronunciation, some problem, sometime, for the new learner.
Yep.
But dal is very...
Exactly, I think that's right.
I think I've experienced problem with reciting dal when I'm reciting Quran, and I say ahade. It gives you, when it ends with full stop, it's very
Let me just write that, because that's very important here to mention stuff like that. It's the word ahad, right?
Ahad.
Okay. Here is that. Ha and that.
I've seen when I recite ahad, somebody say it's ahad, it's not ahad, and it should come as there in the end, not
exactly. I think that this is probably could be related to what's called at tashkil, which Osama actually our prominent guest did discuss in the last episode, something that is related to the short vowels that probably can be implicitly used in the word, but probably may not be clear in writing. I mean, something like you can say ahadun, something like that. So it's called tanween or something like that. And I think that something like that probably could make the words in Arabic probably easier when it comes to writing and pronouncing the alphabet dal.
I think since all the alphabets we have learned yet, I think dal is probably the easiest one to write and easiest one to single out compared to other letters.
Right.
Maybe after you might have something similar to dal, which could create probably complexity in your mind. But at the moment, dal is probably the simplest one and the easiest one to understand.
Right.
Because it's only have previous connection, not after anything.
Exactly.
And it has all those and is last. It could be connected sometimes in some words, but most of the time is by itself.
Exactly. I think that Amr also has a comment. Do you have any comment about that? Well, I think this is something that could be very important, especially when it comes to dal, because we have to understand more about the phonetic features and how can we pronounce, how can we speak dal. Now, I would like just to move on to the following letter, which is, in Arabic we say Zal. And I think we can discuss more about that in the following episodes. And we can discover more about the Arabic alphabets. How can we pronounce them? How can we write them? My dear viewers, I think it would be very interesting, actually, if we just learn how can we write the rest of the Arabic alphabets. If you have just any comment, please send me email to brave107@yahoo.com. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.